Hey guys, happy Wednesday. It's Jo of SportsGrid. It's time for Puck It with Jo. We've got 4 games on the ice, and we have everyone in a playoff spot that's going to be able to get in a playoff spot. The Washington Capitals were able to clinch that last wild card spot, so it did eliminate the Detroit Red Wings, even though they fought for their lives trying to get the win yesterday over the Montreal Canadiens, able to get the win in a shootout 5-4. It was such a thrilling game, but then you saw that the Washington Capitals won. So it eliminated them. It also eliminated the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Flyers. Now, the Penguins are in action today. It's going to be interesting to see how they come out. We know that the Bruins didn't win last night, so they slipped down to second in the Atlantic. So many exciting things happen. We've got some matchups already for Saturday, some lines out. So we're going to jump into looking at today's action where we can find some value. I caution you guys on teams that are fully clinched and what they're going to look like in these games. So as we break down the games, I'm going to let you know which player props maybe I feel better about and which plays I feel better about than others, because you got to be so careful. We don't know the motivation of the Pittsburgh Penguins today. They got eliminated without even being able to hit the ice last night. They watched their playoff hopes go down in flames. So how will they show up? Will they look to finish the year strong? Or will the the New York Islanders decide to take a night off tonight, because they're going to face the Carolina Hurricanes. They've got an incredible hard matchup in their first round of the playoffs, but I do think they're being disrespected with the lines we're seeing out right now. So we're going to get into all of that here. I see all of your comments still already coming in. So big shout out to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here today. The first game we're going to talk about, the Pittsburgh Penguins and New York Islanders. Now, the Penguins, 88 points. They were trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. We know that was completely shut down, and the Islanders were able to clinch on Monday with their win versus the New Jersey Devils, so they did get that third spot in the Metro, 92 points. Whatever happens in this game tonight, nothing changes for either of these teams. This is my question. This is my concern, because with third in the Metro here, the New York Islanders will face the Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs. That is going to be an absolutely brutal battle, and the books know it. Carolina, as of this morning, I've just got the odds written down on my notebook here. Carolina, as of this morning, was a minus 350 favorite, so plus 275 for the Islanders. I think that's a huge line of disrespect, that total of 5.5. Will the Islanders rest players in this one, or will they look to continue and not break their momentum? They've been playing so strong. Patrick Waugh really has this team locked down and ready for the playoffs. Will it be a night off, though? That is my biggest question mark. I don't know where they're going to go. The Pittsburgh Penguins are 8-1-2 in their last 11 games, so this team did get into form. The Penguins have to be kicking themselves. After the trade of Jake Gunsel, this team basically took 7 games off. If they hadn't taken those 7 games off, gone on that losing streak and actually showed up, this team would be making the playoffs instead of the Washington Capitals. And I do think they would have made that spot here, taking the Islanders' third spot. So, yeah, you got to feel for them here. What I'm going to look at in this one is goals to come out of both of these teams. I'm going to take the over 5.5, because I do think even though the Islanders have been locking down on defense, I think we see that drive by the Pittsburgh Penguins here, which will open up this game. So I'm going to take the over 5.5. Current lines on this game, the Pittsburgh Penguins minus 128, plus 106 for the Islanders. 5.5, it's juicy at minus 140 to the over, but I do think it goes over this total. I'm going to look at some goal scorers for my best bets in this. Sidney Crosby for the anytime goal coming in at plus 140, or I'd look at him for over 1.5 points tonight. I like it. The 2+ points for Sidney Crosby should come out nicely. He has 92 points on the season, 42 goals and 50 assists. We know how strong he has been for his team in the last 12 games, recording 9 goals and 14 assists out there. So I do expect Sidney Crosby to still show up. The Penguins should finish their season strong. I really do think. Now, will some of these players take off mentally like they did after the trade deadline? That's the biggest question mark. So you've got to look at that. I do think Michael Bunting's an interesting one to look at for the anytime goal. So much value on Michael Bunting for an anytime goal. And why I have him circled is 53 points on the season. He has 19 goals. Hitting that 20 mark would be huge for him. This is the last game. We know that. So Michael Bunting, anytime goal at plus 300 again. 19 goals for him. I want to see 20 hit tonight. Noah Dobson is questionable here for the Islanders. Huge defensive player. So I do think that defense lets up. And the goaltending matchup should be Nedeljkovic and Sorokin. And we know Sorokin hasn't been the stronger of the two goalies in net for the Islanders. So I do think higher scoring one. Give me the over. Give me Sidney Crosby for a goal or 2+ points in this one, and Bunting for that anytime goal at plus 300. So much value there. Yeah, it's sad to see Pittsburgh out. It really is. I feel for them. That is for sure. I am completely Matt. Arizona all day long today. They have everything to play for. You remember the Arizona Coyotes. This is their last game in Mullet Arena. I've actually got an alt puck line, so everyone stay tuned. That alt puck line we'll be looking at as well. Matthew Tkachuk scores at plus 125 on DK. That's a really good price because I'm finding out minus 150 over on FanDuel. I will be looking also at Austin Matthews for 2 or more goals, or I got another prop in that one. So let's talk about that game. The Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now the Lightning will face the Florida Panthers in the playoffs. This is not changing. And then Toronto will face Boston. We already know those matchups. This game is meaningless for both of these teams in the way that no one is moving anywhere with the win or loss. So Martin Jones will be in net for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Tompkins is confirmed here for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I expect this one to find the goals in this game. I looked at the first period over 1.5, but it's so highly juiced at minus 156. I end up taking the both teams to score. Now, the both teams to score in the first period's coming in at plus 146. I think it's a phenomenal way to go. I expect these teams to come out with fire to start this game and then ease off as the game goes on. We know Austin Matthews wants his 70th goal. There is no value in his anytime goal at minus 150 unless you're getting the boost somewhere. And I know a lot of people believe if you're betting a boost, if the books are giving you a boost, it's not going to come in and cash. So that is kind of scary that the books are boosting that one. And some books are like making you lay a ton of juice. I like Austin Matthews. I'm going to take a couple things. The first goal score. Austin Matthews for the first goal of the game is coming in at plus 650. I think he comes out and scores quick and then gets yanked. But I could see Nikita Kucherov getting that assist quick and then being yanked. So if the assist is coming for Nikita Kucherov, we know Connor McDavid hit the 100 assists. Nikita Kucherov has 99 assists. His assist tonight is coming in. I got to find it again. I can't remember what the assist is coming in at, you guys. His assist is, now FanDuel doesn't have it. That is why I couldn't get his assist tonight. They're not putting up some of these lines, so be careful with your book. If you can take Nikita Kucherov for the assist for anything less than minus 120, I would take it. You could also look here. If the assist is going to come quick for Nikita Kucherov to start off this game, I do think Braden Point would get the goal. So I've put a little bit of money on, and I know they go against each other. Not both of them can hit, but the value's there. Austin Matthews for the first goal at plus 650, and then Braden Point for the first goal at plus 1200. So I think either way, one of those two are finding that back of the net in that first period right away. And then Nikita Kucherov can hit his 100 assists and get off the ice. And then Austin Matthews can hit his goal and then get off the ice. These players don't want to risk getting hurt out there. That is not the kind of hockey we're going to get. I think we're going to get a lack of defense. We know the backup goaltending are in net for both of these teams. So both teams to score in the first period at plus 146. Austin Matthews for the anytime goal. If you're getting value for that first goal at plus 650, I think is worth a sprinkle. It's not worth a full unit. And the first goal for Braden Point at plus 1200 is worth a sprinkle, not worth a full unit. Now it could be Stamkos. We could see that assist from Nikita Kucherov go to Stamkos as well. So put a little bit of money maybe on both of them here, but I do think Nikita Kucherov hits 100 assists tonight. I would also look at him for over 2+ points for Nikita Kucherov. I really could see him having a strong game, at least to start this one before they start resting him. So it's going to be an interesting one. Let's move on to the next game, you guys. The St. Louis Blues taking on the Dallas Stars. Now, it looks like a game that there's nothing really to play for. The Dallas Stars are locked first in the Central with 111 points. The problem here is the Dallas Stars need a win or at least 1 point. They have to push this game to overtime to be able to take the first spot in the Western Conference. So first in the Eastern Conference, and the President's Trophy winner is the New York Rangers. That is not changing. They also got the first in the Metro. The first in the Central here won't change for the Dallas Stars, but with Vancouver, a game tomorrow, they have 109 points. If these two tie at 109 or 111 points, which if Vancouver gets their win in their next game, they face Winnipeg tomorrow. Because of wins in regulation, Vancouver then would be the top team in the Western Conference. So the Dallas Stars need 1 point. And so they can lose in overtime. They just have to get that 1 point, push it to overtime. Jake Ottinger will be in net and Jordan Binnington here for the St. Louis Blues. Now, the interesting thing is the St. Louis Blues have actually played the Dallas Stars hard this season. They've won 2 of the 3, and we've seen 2 of these games this season go to overtime between these two to determine the winner. I do think the St. Louis Blues have every opportunity of pushing this game to overtime, trying to get the upset of the team that is first in the Central looking to win the Western Conference. You know, these teams come out with fire and passion. So this game to go to overtime is plus 390. And you got to think the St. Louis Blues had been pushing so hard to be able to make it to the playoffs and were not able to. Jake Neighbors still out of this lineup. We're not going to see him back for this last game of the season, but there's a couple of players I would look at. Jason Robinson for the Dallas Stars. He needs to come out strong. He has 29 goals on the season. So if he gets a goal tonight, this is goal number 30 for the season, and I do think he comes out and gets it. So Jason Robinson of the Dallas Stars is coming in at plus 170 for the anytime goal. You could also look at Chris Tanev for the 1+ points tonight. If you're getting any value, he has 19 points on the season. You know, players want to hit those milestone numbers. So 20 points would be a nice thing for him. He has 2 goals and 17 assists. When we look at the St. Louis Blues, Jordan Kyrou here has 67 points, 31 goals, and 36 assists. Jordan Kyrou is being so phenomenally strong. I expect those points to come in for him tonight. Could he get 2+ points in this one? It's going to be hard with Jake Ottinger in net, but I do think this is an absolute battle out there, and the St. Louis Blues bring it. So give me Jordan Kyrou for the 2+ points. Now you could look at Robert Thomas as well. He's got 85 points, so no big milestones looking to be hit with points here. 25 goals on the season and 60 assists. So he's done phenomenal out there. But I do think the best bet is to go to overtime at plus 390. It has so much value when 2 of the 3 meetings have gone to overtime this season. I lean on this one for that total first period explosion. I think the Blues come out and kind of shock the Stars. And then I think the Dallas Stars would want to get up in this game and try to protect their lead. So I'm very cautious about that total tonight. You got to be cautious with these games. St. Louis rested in Dallas 3 days off. Dallas just needs 1 point, and that's all they need. So they don't care if they lose this one in overtime. I would look here at if this game goes to overtime, live bet St. Louis, because St. Louis is going to be the team that comes out on complete fire. You got to remember, teams that are locked into the playoff position, as soon as they pick up that point by pushing it to overtime, the whole goal is not to get hurt. It's to play strong because they don't want to lose momentum going into the playoffs, and they don't want, but if they know they've given up in that overtime situation, I think it's worth a shot on the St. Louis Blues because you know the books are still going to have them as a dog. The line's going into that. St. Louis, you can grab plus 1.5 at minus 120. I do like that bet, the plus 1.5. And yes, the Dallas Stars are the way better team. I'm not saying Dallas should lose to St. Louis, but Dallas just needs a point, and they can't get hurt out there. That total's now at 6.5, minus 130 to the over and plus 106 to the under. I don't want to touch either sides of that. Now, the Edmonton Oilers and the Arizona Coyotes. I'm interested to see how this line has moved, and it hasn't budged much over the last couple hours. Plus 146 here for the Arizona Coyotes on the money line. Sign me up all day. Like I said, the last game at Mullet Arena, and I know what you saw. with Edmonton coming off that huge dominating 9-1 win over the San Jose Sharks at home in their last home game of the season. Yes, they absolutely dominated out there. Could they do it again versus the Arizona Coyotes? I don't think so. I don't think this team wants to risk being hurt in this game. If you like the Edmonton Oilers, you'd have to take them on the puck line, laying 1.5 at plus 138, and I'm not going to do it. The total is sitting at 6.5. I do think it goes over that at minus 120. I think we have a goal in the first 5 minutes as well. That's coming in at plus 158. And that first period over 1.5 is minus 144. I like all of those bets. What I like even better is the Coyotes on the money line at plus 146 and the alt puck line here for the Arizona Coyotes laying 1.5 goals. So we're reversing that puck line. It's coming in at plus 320. Last game in Mullet Arena, this team is moving to Salt Lake City. They want to give their fans a show. The Edmonton Oilers are locked into second in the Pacific. This is not changing. They cannot catch the Vancouver Canucks. They can't move anywhere. Their whole game plan here is to not get hurt. I think they rest a lot of their star players. I would be shocked if their top lines do come out and hit the ice. Anything over that first period, I expect a strong first period out of Edmonton. Second and third, I think they take a vacation day and put other players in there to see what different lines would look like and kind of play around with things. Again, they don't need to get hurt. Vejmelka will be in net for the Arizona Coyotes and Pickard here for the Edmonton Oilers. Now, what could be better than Arizona winning this one 4-0, getting the shutout? It'd be absolutely glorious for this team to finish that way in Arizona. I could see a storyline where it happens, you guys. So the Coyotes over 2.5 goals. It's minus 144 if you want kind of a safer bet, but I think you just look money line, puck line, reverse that puck line, and take the over. So it's going to be a good game. You guys, that's everything tomorrow. We have so many games, but everything is kind of meaningless out there. We'll have teams playing for pride again. We saw those upsets coming in last night. I just wanted to quickly go over those lines right now. What we're seeing for the playoffs. There's already playoff series. So we know the matchup is set between the Colorado Avalanche and the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets did get that home ice advantage. They are being disrespected with a plus 115 odds, minus 138 for the Colorado Avalanche in the first game of the series. That total is 5.5, highly juiced to the over at minus 188. I still don't trust Colorado's goaltending. So I do think if this series can be pushed by the Winnipeg Jets to 7, they have every opportunity of winning it. I love Connor Hellebuyck and Boussoit, the goaltending tandem here for the Winnipeg Jets, and I think this team can turn it up a notch. So I would be looking at game 1 here. Give me the under 5.5 right now, you guys, at plus 152 on Saturday, and the Winnipeg Jets at plus 115. I think this line is disrespectful as hell to the Winnipeg Jets. When we look at the New York Islanders, again, so much disrespect here versus the Carolina Hurricanes. And I know the Carolina Hurricanes are phenomenally strong, finishing second in the Metro and the Islanders finishing third with a huge gap between them. With what we've seen out of the New York Islanders and their ability to lock down, Patrick Waugh has this team in current amazing form. I'm betting they take tonight off on the defensive side of things and lack of defense, but the defense is going to come back for this game versus the Carolina Hurricanes. I would look at the under 5.5 in this one that's coming in at plus 144. I know how strong Carolina is, especially on their home ice, but it's really tempting to look at the New York Islanders plus 1.5 at plus 124, as well as a sprinkle for the upset in that first game at plus 275. As you can tell, I'm a homer for the Dogs, you guys, but not for the Dogs in the Washington Capitals. This is going to be a hard matchup. Washington Capitals battled all the way to the playoffs. Ovechkin's been incredible, and I would look for him to stay hot, but the New York Rangers are a different level over the Washington Capitals. The Rangers at minus 375 here. And I know people would compare this one to what we're seeing between the Canes and the Islanders, but I don't think that the Capitals, with how hard they've pushed, can continue their dominance out there. I am kind of interested in the plus 1.5 at plus 130 because I do think it's going to be a lower scoring one. That total again at 5.5 at plus 110. I think The first game of these series are really tight battles between all of these teams, except maybe the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. But I do look for the Capitals to lose this series to the New York Rangers. I really feel the Rangers should be able to get the win, and Carolina should be able to get the win over the New York Islanders as well. So you guys stay tuned. I will be doing a show on Friday. We'll go over all of my bets in these games, exactly what I'm liking and where my money is going to go. We're going to do it Friday so that you're not waiting till the day of the games. We will try to keep the playoff games one day ahead if we can. Some of those situations are going to be too hard because we're still got those night games going on. But for before they start, we'll definitely go over those games before. And Saturday, we'll go over the Sunday games before so that we're at least one day ahead on those the Saturday and Sunday weekend games. When we look at the Boston Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs, we know the Bruins have dominated versus Toronto this season. Boston is a minus 120 favorite on the road going into Toronto. Toronto at plus 100. It's going to be really interesting to see if Toronto can get a win over Boston and if they make it out of this round. Now, Boston took their foot off the pedal going into the playoffs, which is, I feel for Boston because they took their foot off at one point to like at the end of last season, and then they got back into it for a couple of games. This time they played hard and then took their foot off and then are going into the playoffs. So I don't know which style is going to work best for them. We know last year's style didn't work. Can they beat Toronto? Absolutely. They have the ability, but we haven't seen this team playing well as of late. So I'm kind of leaning to Toronto here at plus 100 at home in this matchup. If you like the over, it's so highly juiced at minus 188. It's not even bettable there. I do think while it's going to be a hard series between these two, that the under 5.5 could be in play for that first game. Samsonov should be absolutely on his game. We know Toronto has been playing in some lower scoring battles out there, and the Boston Bruins love to lock down on that defensive side. This would be a game, and I think of all these games, when you look at that first period, that feeling out stage for these teams should be there. So those under 1.5s and the no goals in the first 10 minutes is something I'm going to be looking at a lot as we go into the first game of the playoffs. And then we're going to see the style that these teams play with. It's not going to be what I look at for the matchup between the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning, though. The Tampa Bay Lightning do have the home ice here at plus 146 on the money line for that first game Saturday, minus 176 here for the Florida Panthers. And we do have a total of 5.5. Now, this 5.5 is juiced to that over at minus 178 as well. I expect an explosion out of the gate between these two. We know that these two teams have taken some losses over the last couple of weeks, and we've seen goals coming in for some of these games as well. But we've also seen the Florida Panthers have one of the best defenses out there, really limiting their opponent's ability to get those shots even on goal. And then when we look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, explosive power play. They've got one of the best power plays in the league. So hard hitting battle out there between these two. I would look for that first period to be a highly explosive first period coming out. I wanted both of these teams to make it to the second round. And we now know both of these teams can't now that they're matching up versus each other. I do think the Tampa Bay Lightning have an opportunity if they're playing in the current form that we saw in some of these games in the last couple of weeks, that they could upset the Florida Panthers, but Florida is so deep out there. I love everything they bring to the table. So this is going to be an absolute battle. Sam Reinhart, well, the best power play comes from the Tampa Bay Lightning. The best power play player for goals is Sam Reinhart of the Florida Panthers. He has been absolute fire on those power plays. So he's definitely a player you want to circle out there on the power play, especially against Tampa. Tampa's kill isn't as strong. Now, the kill here for the Florida Panthers is pretty solid. So Tampa's going to not have its way on that power play either. So those are the games. Those are the quick look aheads and the reaction to the lines. For what we're getting, you guys, it's going to be an incredible playoff series. Like I said, tomorrow is a loaded slate. We have, 8 games tomorrow. All of these games tomorrow will be meaningless except for you look at Vegas and LA are still battling out for who will get the third in the Pacific. So Vegas and LA face the Blackhawks and the Ducks, and they're huge favorites. Like we got Vegas minus 350 and LA minus 400. And then we have Vancouver, the Vancouver Canucks. If we see tonight, the Dallas Stars get the point, Vancouver won't show up tomorrow versus Winnipeg, I don't think. If we see Dallas lose tonight, we could see Vancouver show up so they can take the Western Conference. So, and Winnipeg isn't moving anywhere either. That is it, you guys. I cannot wait for these playoffs to kick off as well. Islanders in the first period. It's not snowing right now. The sun has actually come out. It's beautiful to hear. So it's going to be fantastic to see the Arizona Coyotes in Utah. I cannot wait for this team to get there. Definitely need it going right away. So they will be there for the next season. So very last game in Mullet Arena. Give me that reverse puck line, you guys. It's going to be a great day out there on the ice. Enjoy these games. Get your voice rested for the playoffs for all of you. I know you guys are screaming at the TV just as much as me as we want to cash those tickets. So you guys have a great day. I'm not on Game Time Decisions later this afternoon, but stay tuned. I might put out another MLB Cup of Joe. We cashed on the Toronto Blue Jays for the Nerfy and for the under in the first 5, which was terrifying. I don't know if you guys watched that, but the Yankees were almost with bases loaded, and then Kevin Gausman got them out of there, and then Toronto came out, almost had bases loaded. They had runners on first and second, just like the Yankees had. Justin Turner came up to the plate, and I thought for sure he's going to get an RBI, get everyone home, but we were able to cash that Nerfy. That was at minus 115 and the under 4.5. So stay tuned. I'll probably do another one here. Great matchups later today. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Again, stay tuned to SportsGrid for all the best content. If you're looking to download the app, the link is running below, but it's available at all the stores. I will see you guys tomorrow.